Hey,
Kinksters.
Kinksters. Ever wondered what power exchange really looks like in BDSM? Well, I'm Goddess Jackie.
And I'm Mistress Nikki. And this week, we're going to be breaking down different facets of power exchange, from subtle shifts in control to full-time dynamics. So let's get into it.
Yeah, I know that I've done everything from like a total power exchange to like one-time play sessions for JOI. I know that Nikki has as well. So we do enjoy both sides of the power exchange, both extremes, I guess is the better way to say it.
Yeah, I really do prefer 24/7 dynamics.
Yeah.
Myself.
Yeah, I think so too. I guess not. No, I think I prefer it like a 10-24 10 hours 7 like a 10 like a 10-7 maybe, something like, 10 hours a day, 7 days a week.
That's hilarious. I'm just a 9 to 5 power exchange.
Yeah, like I can't be there all the time.
Okay. So first we're going to go ahead and get into some explanations. The Dom sub dynamic, it's not exactly a one size fits all. There's different roles, identities, dynamics for different needs, personalities, power levels. I'm pretty sure the most common one that everyone knows about is the DS, dominant submissive.
Yeah, that's right in the title. So
right,
I think that's the main people know.
Right. Very classic exchange of authority and obedience.
Mm-hmm. And most of the other ones still kind of, I feel like, fall in a degree of it. It's just more of extremes in the titles that you prefer, I think.
Right. That's where the personality gets into it and stuff like that. So
yeah,
we also have like a master slave dynamic. That one is going to be more intense, classically kind of like a 24/7 lifestyle dynamic.
Much more power. Like I feel like to that degree it is more master slave. Like, think of the difference between, like, in my head, I guess the difference between dominant submissive and a master slave is literally like a general, what people would say traditional, role is the best way to think of it, where like the man is dominant, the woman is submissive, cares for all of the things. That's kind of dominant submissive. Master slave is like master slave. Like, think back to slave time. That is that role. That is literally like where you're kind of going with it.
And so we also have like mommy boy or daddy girl. That is kind of a mixture. It blends like the care and discipline, but more with an emotionally nurturing side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and sometimes they can be littles. The girl and boy can. So that's where the emotional nurturing tends to lean into.
Mm-hmm.
Is if they end up in that little space at all, you tend to have a lot more like playtime and nurturing growth.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that's not one of my favorite dynamics. I don't really participate in that.
Yeah,
but Jackie does. She's got experience in it. So
Mm-hmm.
And we also have the owner pet dynamic. That one is going to be focused more on structure, training, playfulness. Think like golden retriever sub.
Yeah, honestly, that's probably like one of my favorite under the Dom sub is owner pet, where like, because to me, I do care for you.
Mm-hmm.
I do want the best for you, but you need to be trained to listen, to obey me. And so that's where I enjoy the owner pet, and you get the playfulness of a pet, but as well as like the humiliation submission and stuff. I think that's just personally my favorite one.
Yeah, one of my favorite sub styles is pups. I love my pups.
They're so cute. They're just so cute.
Yeah,
I just love that. I actually think I should be getting to do a pup scene here in a couple weeks.
Oh, that's cute.
I know. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I mean, I've had different dynamics. I've done owner pet. I love pups, like I just said. I've also done like straight up dog brat training. I hate it. I mean, like, hate it as in like it pisses me off, but like I'm really good at it. So I enjoy it. It's just fucking annoying sometimes. Having to break somebody. My preferred honorific is mistress, so I do like the mistress slave TPE 24/7 dynamic.
I get so for me personally, and this is where I said like I like a 10-20 or like a 10-7. Like I get annoyed sometimes by the 24/7 dynamic because like I'm busy and I don't want to have to rule over you all day long. But that's just me, and also the fact that like with multiple play partners, I don't want to be ruling over everybody all day long and everybody trying to come to me for every little thing.
Yeah, when I participate in stuff like Total Power Exchange, I usually don't do it with more than one person at a time.
Yeah.
Just because it can be emotionally taxing, and I just
Mm-hmm.
don't have time for that.
Yeah, yeah. And like the emotional psychological side is really everything that comes into play with the dynamics. Like in order to enter into any dynamic, including for me even just like scene based, I have to feel a little bit of the emotional superiority. I have to have a desire to like want to make you submit. I have to feel that. And that's what really plays into a good dom sub dynamic. And I think that it's not always there for everybody. Some people really just want the sexual side of it, but in like a real big long-term dynamic, that emotional psychological power play is so beautiful and beneficial and rewarding and like meaningful.
Oh yeah, I enjoy it completely. I have one sub that I'm currently like long termish with,
Mhm.
and I enjoy that what dynamic the most, honestly. Like, and we don't talk all the time. We don't even talk
Mhm.
every day because they're busy as fuck. But when we do chat, it's just like really good chemistry, really good submission. I mean, we have fun every single time,
Yeah.
and I don't see that a lot with a lot of the other subs that I interact with recently, I'd say.
Right, same. I think there's just a couple that they come and go and I have fun every single time, but it's not everybody. I absolutely tell people no. And like I do this sometimes for some people for money. I do it sometimes just for like I'm very much a lifestyle dom, so I have some partners that are not for money, like the pup play that's coming up. It's very much for me just based off of my feelings and emotionalness and how I play with that person.
I agree.
Do you have any protocol play that you enact with any of your subs, especially with like the way that you like the total power dynamics and the long-term dynamics?
Well, let me tell you. Yes, I do have specific protocols. I have yeah, I have like for total power exchange or 24/7 dynamics, I mean, I do have a contract that kind of lists out my expectations from the get-go. And in the contract, there is stuff like you have to every single morning when you wake up, you kneel in front of an altar for me. You say your morning devotional to me kneeling, and that's before you do anything else. And then you have to send proof that you did it.
For those of you that don't know, since we do keep mentioning it quite a bit, total power exchange is a form of the power dynamics. What it just means is that the dominant has authority over nearly every part of a submissive's life. It's consensual, 24/7, long-term surrender. It's not micromanagement. It's kind of about alignment and sharing control. And so that's where a lot of the protocol play kind of comes into total power exchange.
Right. The protocols are rituals, they're rules or structures that reinforce the power dynamic. Like I would say, I have like a specific morning protocol that I want my submissives to follow, kneeling a certain way. They have to be the ones to initiate conversations with me. I mean, unless I'm absolutely completely freaking bored. But again, it's only one sub that I do that to.
Right. But that's so different. I mean, like, I think it's different of a matter of you should be reaching out to your dominant versus like, I mean, we can obviously reach out to them whenever we want as well for like if we're bored to annoy them.
Yeah.
It's just different.
It is. I mean, it's for me, it's the protocol of I am making you do this, like you will be starting the conversation. I'm not going to be chasing you kind of thing. And
Yeah.
so that is kind of why it goes into total power exchange, because it's not just a scene, it's a choice, it's a lifestyle. It requires brutal honesty, you know, communication, boundaries.
Yeah, and that's I think everybody has their different like protocols. It doesn't have to be any specific thing. People who, especially like if you're doing an online dynamic, or some people just like for memory, they like lists. There's actually a lot of
Mm-hmm.
different apps you can use,
Mm-hmm.
which then both sides can keep track of it. There's different things you can do. I'll put in some links in this episode so you can check them out. But Chaser and Obedience are a couple of the names that I will just drop.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's others as well.
And y'all have to remember, you know, these protocols and rituals and stuff, especially with like power exchange, it's not just a like I make you do this, you do it. Like these are devotional acts. This is an act of devotion to whoever you are exchanging the power with, right?
Right.
So it's not just, and I feel like sometimes we kind of lose that perspective at times,
Oh, so much.
you know, and
It drives
it's
me so crazy. It drives
yeah.
me so crazy. Yeah. I think there's been so many, I know exactly what you mean. There's been so many times where this like a sub is like, yeah, I just post on her Twitter 10 times a day and then I recruit more subs for her. And I'm like, and how is that? Like I feel like in some way this should be beneficial to the subs. Like there
Mhm.
should be some kind of growth for the sub or something. But a lot of people just turn this into growth of their platform.
Mhm.
And it's really a gross negligence and abuse of a dynamic, because a lot of the people who sub in those positions don't know any better.
Mhm. Yeah, and
They're
it
just
does
excited.
and that kind of the lack of education, especially with the slave submissives, I
Hmm.
find is just fuck. Like I can't even I would go way over our episode if I would to even touch on that.
Because the thing is with like the total power exchange, there's going to be a lot of different things under there. And like, yeah, absolutely, we have a podcast, we have a blog, we have our own pages and websites, and so we have subs that do help us with that, but those are our service submissives who enjoy doing things like that. But that's also not the only things that we do with them. We interact with them throughout the day. I know that one has sick family right now, another one's going to surgery. Like it is still a 24/7 dynamic with our subs that do help us with that, and that is not the only interaction that we ever have with them either.
Right. And that's even just to say that, like, you know, with all of the stuff that we are managing right now, even with subs help, it's not that we are requiring them to do these tasks because we can't. We can, and we would actually prefer to do it ourselves because we're
Yeah.
perfectionists. It's a sign of like you're going to learn, you're going to grow. It's a sign of devotion. It's acts of what can I do to please her
Right.
today, you know?
Yeah, honestly, we have them help. Like one of the big things is the writing an article, which is, for me, that's a self-reflection thing for themselves, to submit an article, to do a personal reflection. In terms of our socials, we completely run our socials, but we do have them helping with research and other things, because they say, how can we help? How can I help you? Well, find me some of this information, because this is where we're struggling and we are busy with this stuff. I think that kind of takes us to, I kind of mentioned a little bit, we've touched on it a little bit, but financial domination.
Bum, bum, bum.
I think this is probably the biggest hot topic power exchange button out there, because people are going into it just looking for any domination even now.
Yeah, financial domination, or FinDom, for those who aren't familiar with its full term, has become quite a hot topic within the last several years. It's gotten popular on social media sites like TikTok, Instagram. People basically market it as I bully men and get money for it, as simple
Mhm.
as I know certain TikTok creators that say that. And so we're going to break it down from our
Right.
experience, break down the myth of it's not just taking money for nothing, it's control through resources. This is one of, in fact, it's one of the most ultimate forms of total power exchange, you know, to
Right.
trust somebody enough to give them your financial assets, control your spending, you know, assigning financial tasks, draining somebody. It can be heavy, it can be dangerous
Absolutely.
on both the Dom and the sub side. I've seen so many horror stories from both sides. Just anyway, it's not just about grabbing someone's cash, it's a psychological power trip, at least for me, where money is a symbol of submission.
If you're interested in getting in findom and being a findom, that's great. Go right ahead. But the thing is that you have to remember that these are real people and this is their kink. And their kink is not necessarily even just being humiliated for money. Their kink is somebody having control over finances and having that submission, and that's it. Everybody has different, like, they like a loving caring dom, they like a hard
Mm-hmm.
mean dom. There's no like persona you will ever need to or have to have. A lot of men do like humiliation and that is the part of it, but it's kind of like having sex with somebody. You don't just walk up and start fucking them because that's rape. You have to have consent and know the person before you kind of get into this. So I think my biggest pet peeve with this is people just like messaging people like, hey pig, send me money or shit like that. Like,
Right. Yeah.
no.
And that's not to say that there aren't, you know, submissives. They're called fin subs or financial submissives. There are subs that do want to just send you money and not have any interaction with you. They are very few and far between. Just
Hmm.
so y'all know, you know.
And they will reach out to you though.
Yeah, they reach out to you every single time. That is one thing that I will say, like for the other doms that'll say the fin subs will come to you, you don't come to them. 100% true. That has been my experience 100% of the time, is
Hmm.
like true legit fin subs who just want to send money and want nothing in return will reach out to you first.
Absolutely.
One of the most common like terms in financial domination right now is a tribute. It's like a tribute of, here is a certain amount of money to show an offering, a sign of submission from me to you that I want, you know, I'm interested in initiating a dynamic of some sort. You know, it's not just a tip, it's not paying for a session, it's a sign of devotion. It's, you own this part of me too.
Yes. This is like with financial domination. And I think this is where it's becoming so popular and the lines are getting blurred and crossed and nobody really knows. With financial domination, it really is just financial control.
Mm-hmm.
When you start adding chastity, when you start adding the humiliation to it, when you start adding anything to it,
Mm-hmm.
then it is more than just financial domination. And I think a lot of submissives, and it's important if you're in the financial domination space to know that, like, a lot of submissives start approaching and looking at findoms, but wanting just like a paid dom
Mm-hmm.
dynamic.
Yep.
And there is a lot of blurred lines and confusion in that.
Mm-hmm. And that's not to say that, you know, anybody's in the right or in the wrong, however they want to do financial domination. We're just trying to say there's a lot of different ways to practice financial domination. And at the end of the day, the portrayal of findom that we most commonly see on the internet and like in the world today is not really the most accurate perspective.
No.
I've dabbled in financial domination on and off. I have a couple of subs that send to me and stuff. It's not like my main job. I don't use it to supplement income. I do it for
Right.
fun. I've had my actually the sub that has been the most long term with me is a fin sub. He's my cash cow, actually. But it's not just a strictly financial domination relationship. I mean, I have his chastity key. He's been locked for like 3 weeks, actually.
I did mention, you know, that like with financial domination, they might want chastity. Absolutely, absolutely love chastity play, even though it's its own separate power exchange. Chastity and obedience training in general. With chastity devices, the most common we think of are going to be the male cock cages. For women, they do have some different like leather belt type things with a lock. It's not like I always think of Robin Hood Men in Tights, when at the end she's like, I got a chastity belt, it's an Everlast, and it's just like a big pair of metal underwear. It's not like that. Yeah, it's not like that at all. In fact, chastity can even just be mental control as well, where they're just not allowed to touch themselves.
It is I have had different experiences with chastity myself, like with male chastity. I'm going to be very explicit with that. Male chastity. And I've had everything from my favorite sub that was in chastity did mental chastity before he like fucking relapsed. He had something happen in his real life, and it just but anyway. And then the chastity devices, like Jackie said, they can be anything from like soft silicone. That's usually what I start people. Chastity training for me, especially if they're not experienced, it's like low and slow.
Well, and I even had a sub mention that one particular material, it like it grew bacteria, like it was gross. Like because so you some of them you need to be able to take off and clean, you can't just feel like here's a fucking lock, let's slap that bitch on this warm, sensitive, moist area. Bacteria loves that.
Yeah, especially if there's a lot of things that go into consideration with that, especially if you're like uncircumcised,
right?
And you have to be hygienic, you know, if you're hygienic and stuff. So that also is one of the annoyances from my subs, where I'm like, okay, it's time to unlock and clean yourself. And they're like, but no. And I'm like, but fucking yes, I'm not wanting your dick to fall off. Like,
right.
God.
We don't like dick cheese, guys. It's fucking nasty. God. Okay. It is.
I know. I saw a TikTok talking about that, and how like if you don't clean it, it calcifies.
Yeah. We had to like squirt like normal saline with like a and like let it sit with like a Q-tip on somebody once in the ICU. So yeah, absolutely, sure does. So please have cleanliness breaks. God damn it.
Yes. Right. Yeah. And speaking of cleanliness, we could go into obedience training.
Yes, exactly. Because God damn it, we fucking told you to clean your dick.
Right. So I'm pretty sure we've gone on this tangent before in a previous episode, but obedience training is about structure and ritual. It could be anything as simple as like completing chores, you know, at a certain time every day, or addressing your dominant with a preferred honorifics, or as complicated as washing yourself.
Yeah, you can absolutely just have like force tasks. Again, the great apps, you know, you can have, if you want, for like a routine app of obedience training. Those are sometimes really great because then you can kind of see if it's being done, follow up with pictures that it's being done, etc. every day. Things like the Chaser and Obedience app are my favorite. Some other examples might be like daily mantras, journaling. I make mine write about experiences after they have sessions and stuff, especially with other people. Like I have one task that does in-person play things, and so I can't provide aftercare in that situation, but I can in the way of making them journal and see how they felt and going through that with them if there's things that need to be addressed.
Yeah, I make mine do self-improvement tasks a lot of the times. Like, you're going to meditate every day for 30 minutes or work out for 10 minutes, you know, or whatever. Because again, for me, it's about growth, even if you want me to just humiliate you.
Right. Sissification is definitely one of Nikki's favorites.
Yes. I do love.
And another big power exchange.
Sissification is pretty, I mean, to me, it's pretty complicated. I mean, at its core, it's the practice of a dominant submissive like dynamic involving like the reversal of gender roles, making specifically submissive men take on a feminine role. That's at its core. Now, it can get complicated, you know, because for some, what I've encountered about 90% of the time with submissives who say that they are sissies or claim to be sissies, it is a way for them to explore a repressed part of their identity, or they are trans, you know, and for them it's more of a playground to explore it without shame.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Like a lot of the people who I've liked who have the sissification kink, they also enjoy, a lot of them enjoy some part of forced by. They always want to be a little, some of them want to be humiliated. It's interesting. Some of them really want to be humiliated with the sissification, and some of them want to be playful, girly best friends with you. So you also kind of need to, in those power plays, know which one you're getting into. If it is like, oh my gosh, I fucking love that cute little thong, here, try this one. Or is it, you fucking nasty slut wearing that thong, like you're such a dirty whore. Like there's such differences in how they like it too.
Oh yeah, it's, for me, it's they're polar opposites, one side of the spectrum from each other. And for me, like I said, because my experience has been mostly with subs who utilize sissification as like a form of expression, to me, it, when they say that they're a sissy, it's not in the humiliating, demasculating way. It's more of like they're reclaiming the name, you know. To me, the kink itself needs care, clarity, open communication, and consent, because of the possibility of gender dysphoria or past trauma being involved.
Yeah.
So it's a very intentional play.
Yeah, I think that sometimes with the sissification too, you end up with the domestic servitude as well. And
Absolutely.
that has a lot to do with the kind of how I talked about the patriarchy gender roles earlier. That flip of it sometimes, and having been to do the domestic work. I don't know how many people have wanted to come over and just clean my house and be my footstool and whatever I need to do, because they are service subs who love doing domestic tasks specifically. And they would love to do it in a maid outfit wearing a thong, you know, like
right. That's so I love this. Yeah, sorry. I had somebody offer to clean my house in a maid outfit. I was just thinking back on that time.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's my fucking point. They would do it in a maid outfit, clean your whole fucking house, like, for free. They'll pay you to come over and do it even. Like, they love it. Yeah, I think, you know, at the end of the day, it's important to know that the power exchange is kind of up to you. Like, we went over so many different power exchanges, the different, even in the Dom sub role, there's the different ones, you know. It's not a one size fits all. Even the different categories of it aren't a one size fits all.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's completely flexible and negotiable with whatever power structure or dynamic you choose to engage in. I mean,
yeah. It's important whether it's in a scene or daily rituals or a full TPE lifestyle. It's all still going to be about consent and trust. And then whatever you guys can come up with together, that both sounds great.
Oh, yeah.
But creative.
Yeah, rack is really good for power exchanges. You know, we mentioned it in a past episode. Rack is risk aware, consensual kink. But let us know, guys, how y'all do power exchange. And if you like this, be sure to check out our blog for a deeper dive.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one thing I just want everybody to know, at the end of the day, we use all these different names. I think it's important to know your submissive's real name on top of pet names in different power exchanges, because if you ever need to in emergency, just simply saying their real name instead of a pet name can flip their mental state. And sometimes you need that. So it's sometimes even more powerful than a safe word if a sub is spiraling. So be sure to know that as well. Our next episode is going to be on impact play. Yay! We're going to go into the different categories a little deeper.
Thanks for listening, guys.
All right. Have fun. Be safe.
Bye.
Bye.